We're a few weeks out of Watches and Wonders. However, the new releases don't stop. Today, we're talking about 10 new releases from a number of different brands, some affordable, some not so affordable. However, I've put together a list of 10 watches that you should definitely check out. So let's start with my number one pick. The first watch on this list is a Timex. They have just released a new Continental Q Timex. This is an integrated bracelet version of the Q Timex, which most of them are. However, this is now getting an eye-link bracelet. It gets a sunburst dial and it gets a GMT window. This is around 39 millimeters. You're getting that GMT window at the 6 o'clock position and it gets 50 meters of water resistance. This is a thin case. It looks really good. It almost looks like a Tissot PRX, but it only cost $189. This is a great release from Timex. I'm very excited about it. I have one hands-on, and I'll be doing a full review of this watch very soon here on the channel. The next watch that we're talking about is a watch that has not officially been released. This is the first mechanical Casio ever made. It is a Casio Edifice, and it is going to be powered by an NH35. You're getting a sapphire crystal, and it said that these will be costing between $300 and $500. They're making an all carbon fiber version. There's a stainless steel version, and they're getting some pretty interesting dials as well. These seem to be semi-integrated bracelet watches, and currently there are only leaked photos of these watches currently available, but you've heard it here first. These are official and they will be released. I have word from someone inside, and I have been told that these are actual renders of the watch and they will be released very shortly. I will have one hands-on for review here on the channel, so definitely stay tuned. Christopher Ward are back at it, this time with a minor release, is what I would call it, from the brand. This is their titanium 12, now with a non-fume dial. So they're coming out with 3 different dial colors. That's Glacier Blue, Arctic, and Fjord Blue. So 2 blues and a white dial. You still get that really crisp textured dial that they are using on all the other 12s. These are not in stainless steel, so these look like the stainless steel models. However, they are now in titanium. So if you like the titanium version with the Sellita SW300, that's the only way that you get the upgraded movement. Definitely go for these. If it was the fume dial that was keeping you back, now these look a lot cleaner if you like that look. You get a COSC certified Sellita SW300, like I was saying before, which is thinner and just in general a better looking movement. On the fly micro adjust that's built into the bracelet, these come in at $1,450 if you get it on a strap, slightly more expensive if you get it on that bracelet with the on the fly micro adjust. These are in 40 millimeters, currently only 3 versions available. I'm sure they will eventually release more of these. Stay tuned. Hamilton finally releasing what I think is a pretty good looking GMT. It is based on the khaki navy auto. So this is a GMT in 43 millimeters. So it still is on the larger side. I don't know why they always release these things in the larger case and then eventually come out with the smaller case. But right now they have released this in the larger case. It is available in bronze on a strap. And then there is the stainless steel version on a bracelet. These are getting 300 meters of water resistance. So technically these are diving GMTs. That 43 millimeter case houses a GMT version of the Powermatic 80. You get to see it from the back. These are generally very good looking watches, but they are kind of straightforward, so it's nothing crazy. These are Traveler's GMTs because the Powermatic 80 GMT is a Traveler's GMT, which is great. Price on this is a little bit high considering what you're getting here, but really not all that bad. $1,395 if you want it on stainless steel with that stainless steel bracelet. And then it goes up to $1,545 for the version in bronze, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not sure why the version on the strap is more expensive just because it's in bronze. Usually bronze, not all that expensive, but I don't know why they are charging more. It's a good looking watch, and I'm glad they finally came out with a diving GMT. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a recent post that I made where I featured a watch from Swatch. It is their Aqua Scuba. And I have to say, I was really blown away when I saw this in person. I recently went into Swatch to check out something else, another watch that's actually on this list. However, I walked past the Aqua Scuba and I saw the black version, and immediately I had to put it on my wrist. This is a watch that kind of looks like a cross between a regular run-of-the-mill dive watch and maybe a Roger Dubuis Easy Diver. It's the only way that I could really describe the case on this watch. It's made out of plastic and bioceramic. It feels like plastic. It gets a quartz movement, a clear dial, but on the black version, it doesn't look all that clear. You get a rotating bezel, 100 meters of water resistance. All in all, I think these are really good looking. They're inspired, each color is inspired by a different jellyfish, and they come in at 44 millimeters. Now, they do wear like a 44 millimeter watch, so if you don't like a large watch, you're not going to like these. However, they've made other jellyfish inspired watches in the past. I think these are some of the best. And the colors are pretty wild. I think the yellow and the black are my favorite, but a lot of people are saying that they like the white. Pretty cool watches, really, really cheap at $150. So I just mentioned that I was going into Swatch for a completely different watch. The watch that I was going into Swatch for, or at least I wanted to check out, was the ostrich editions of the Moon Swatch. Yes, this is actually a thing. Originally, this was just in a few countries in major cities where they were offering these ostrich strap versions of all of the different models that are in the lineup for the Moon Swatch. However, they have now rolled this out worldwide in major cities, and you can buy an ostrich strap version of your Moon Swatch. So if you want the mission to the moon, it can come with a gray or black. I'm not sure which one that one actually comes with, but you get the idea. It comes with a ostrich strap. It looks like the current straps that they come on, but it's a lot higher quality. It's actually made out of leather, not plastic or whatever the hell they make them out of. It feels a lot better in hand. I ended up not buying one because they are more expensive, and I decided not to get anything that day. However, I think these are really cool, and I think they're actually pretty good looking. Definitely check them out. If you want something a little bit different from Swatch, this is pretty cool. Not that long ago, I featured a Chronosport here on my channel from Nevada Grenchen, and I loved that watch. Now, today we're taking a look at a watch that is inspired by that watch. It is a Mecca Quartz version of the Chronosport. However, it gets a 3-register layout. So it still gets that dial that is inspired by the original dial that was from a designer who actually designed some very high-end watches like the Skipper from Tag Heuer, and of course the most famous, the Paul Newman Daytona. However, this is sort of a reimagining of that dial in a 3-register layout. It gets a quartz movement, so it's more affordable. However, you're getting a very similar case. You're getting a very similar bracelet. It's an integrated bracelet style watch. You're getting that Mecca Quartz movement, so you are getting a sweep seconds on it as well. There's 200 meters of water resistance, salmon or tan, so they're available in 2 different colors. Both dials are black. The sub-registers are either in salmon or in tan. These look great for around $500 on a strap, and they go up to around $700 on a bracelet. I highly recommend these watches because they are beautiful. I'll have one hands-on very soon. I got the salmon version, so you'll be seeing that one here on the channel in just a few days. The next 2 watches on this list I recently got hands-on with at an Indies event here in New York City. It's from the brand Awake. Now, I've seen them in the past. However, these dials really stood out to me. They are inspired by 2 different dinosaurs. And I believe they are taking inspiration from Jurassic Park, but don't take my word for it. I'm not 100% sure of that. If that is the case, I'll put it down in the description. There is the T-Rex in orange. It gets 2 silver claws on the dial that are applied down right above the 6 o'clock position. And then there is the Raptor green. That green dial is so good. And then there are 3 claw marks down at the bottom of the dial, right above the 6 o'clock. And again, those are applied. The dials here are made in a very different way. So there is silver leaf that is applied. There's tons of lacquer, different layers of lacquer, and that's how you get that metallic effect. They also use some interesting indices as well. They use solid little blocks of lume, and then they apply indices on top of that. So those are not filled with lume. They are sort of backed with lume. So they glow from behind. It looks awesome. And the hands are outlined in lume, so it all works really well. The indices sort of look like teeth also, so everything here really does work really well. They're also using a salmon skin leather strap, which is very weird. And I have seen this before. I've seen tilapia and a few other types of fish used, but this is salmon skin, and I think it looks really good. And these are sort of metallic as well. And I think that's how they get the effect, because they are using salmon skin, which is already somewhat metallic. I think it looks really good. These are powered by the G101, which is a dateless version of the La Joux-Perret G100. Really great looking movement, really great looking watches, really nicely sized as well at 39 millimeters. They are on the more expensive side, $2,300, but you are getting a pretty interesting watch here, and they are very limited. I think they're only limited to like 50 pieces or something like that. So very limited, really interesting dials, really interesting inspiration, kind of a cool strap on there if you like salmon. If you're allergic to salmon or fish, you may not want to buy this watch, but all in all, good looking watches in my opinion, and very interesting, something very different. The next watch on this list is the most expensive watch on this list. It is a new reissue of the Deep Diver from Girard-Perregaux. This is a very colorful watch that they've made in collaboration with Bamford. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because they already have the design in their arsenal. It's from their history. All that Bamford have given to them is some colors to put on the dial, I believe. It's made in grade 5 titanium. You have a cushion case that's inspired by 1960s and 1970s divers, obviously, because this is a watch that is basically a reissue, not a one-for-one reissue of a vintage diver, the Deep Diver from Girard-Perregaux. This is a limited edition of 300 watches. You're getting 200 meters of water resistance, and the price on this is $15,100. You are also getting an inner rotating bezel. This is pretty expensive for what you're getting here. It doesn't look like a $15,000 watch, in my opinion. And also, there is also the problem of the aftermarket. So you can actually go and buy used versions of, or vintage versions of the original watch for around $1,500 to $7,000 for ones that are in mint condition. Perfect vintage examples of the Deep Diver, and that is on the very expensive side. This watch will be immediately worth $7,000, and it will only go down from there. So GP do not hold their value, unfortunately, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to buy this watch brand new unless you really love the colors, because you're not going to get these colors in a new version. That's really it. Next is a really cool watch from a brand called Grandeur. I've never featured one of their watches here on my channel, but I actually have one of these watches hands-on to show you guys. This is the Strange. It is a Crazy Hours watch. This was something that was made very popular by Frank Mueller. However, this is not something that you see very often. It's sort of a cross between a standard watch and a jump hour watch. So the hours are all scrambled on the dial, and essentially the hour hand jumps to the correct hour, and the minutes work just like the regular minutes on any other watch. However, this watch is actually affordable. The version that I have does not have a stone dial. I believe that it's around $1,300. They currently offer these with stone dials in titanium on their website. So the version that I have might be even cheaper. I'm not entirely sure, but I do have to do a little bit more research on the pricing on the specific one that I have. But like I said, they do have these on their website right now, and they do get an in-house movement with a titanium case with a stone dial for $1,300. That is a really cool, different complication for a very, very good price. And there's really no other brand currently making a Strange Hours or a Crazy Hours, whatever you want to call it, right now. And this does get a weird case as well. So it's called Strange because this is a very strange watch. It has the perfect name. And I think it's really cool and very comfortable. I've actually worn it already. I'll be doing a full review on it. I know this is going to be something very different for a lot of people out there. So definitely stay tuned. This is something that you're going to want to see. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's my list. Tell me what you guys think about the watches that I have presented to you today. There are a number of new watches on the market. These are some of my favorites. Usually I like to talk about affordable watches. Sometimes I throw in some expensive watches as well, but there you go. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Are there any other watches that you would include in this list? Tell me down in the comment section below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I will catch you guys in the next video.